welcome to 8-Bit N.P.Cs, where we peel back the layers of some of the greatest films in cinema history. I'm TJ LaFauci, and today we're going to be diving into one of the most iconic gangster films ever made, Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas. From the very first line, as far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. You know you're not just you're not just watching a movie, you're being invited into a world. So grab your cannoli, maybe not the pistol, and let's break down this classic piece of cinema. Goodfellas, released in 1990, is based on the 1985 nonfiction book Wise Guy by Nicholas Pileggi. It's the true story of Henry Hill, a half-Irish, half-Sicilian kid growing up in Brooklyn, becomes involved with the mob at a young age. The film follows Henry through his rise in the Lucchese crime family, his friendships with Jimmy Conway and Tommy DeVito, his marriage to Karen, and eventually, spoiler alert, his downfall, arrest, and betrayal of his mob friends. Unlike The Godfather, mythologizes as kind of a dark royalty, Goodfellas is gritty, fast-paced, and almost documentary-like in its realism. It's about the lifestyle, not just the power, and it's not afraid to show you the blood, the coke, and the paranoia that comes with it. Let's talk about the cast, because honestly, every single performance in this movie hits like a gunshot. Ray Latoya plays Henry Hill. This was his breakout role, and man does he nail it. He's charming, he's naive, and he's terrifying, often all in the same scene. His narration is the movie's spine. It's personal, it's confessional. Robert De Niro plays Jimmy Conway. Based on real-life mobster Jimmy Burke, De Niro brings this quiet menace to Jimmy. He's generous at first, then chilling when paranoia kicks in, especially after the Buffahenza heist. And then we have Joe Pesci as Tommy DeVito. Where do I even start? Pesci won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, and he deserves it. He's funny, unpredictable, and just plain dangerous. That funny house scene, it was completely improvised. It becomes one of the most and studied scenes in film history. Next, there's Lorraine Bracco, plays Karen Hill, Henry's wife, and she's just not a side character. Karen's perspective is crucial. Her seduction by the mob lifestyle, disillusionment, mirrors Henry's arc. There were also other actors in the movie. Tony Sirico, Michael Imperioli. They're both on they both play other pieces of media similar to Goodfellas. Their most iconic roles, though, were Paulie Gautieri and Chrissy Moltisanti in The Sopranos. Every actor in this film, even the smaller roles, like Paul Sorvino as Paulie Cicero, brings nuance and weight to the story. This is where Goodfellas goes from great gangster flick to cinematic masterpiece. Because Martin Scorsese, he's in peak form here. The camera is kinetic. The most famous example, the Copacabana tracking shot. One long take following Henry and Karen through the back entrance into the nightclub. No cuts, just fluid movement. It's dazzling, and it feels like you're being swept away into the mob's seductive lifestyle. Scorsese uses voiceover brilliantly. It's exposition, but it feels so intimate, like you're in on The Secret. And then there's the editing by Thelma Schoonmaker. Sharp, punchy, rhythmic. Pacing never drags, even though the film covers 25 years of Henry's life. Don't even get me started on the music. The soundtrack is stacked. Tony Bennett, the Rolling Stones, Derek and the Dominoes, and so much more. Each song is needle dropped to perfection. It's not just background noise. It drives the emotion of the scene. When you hear Layla over the montage of dead bodies after the heist, it just makes that whole scene unforgettable. Goodfellas isn't just about crime, it's about addiction. Addiction to power, to money, to respect, and to the thrill. Henry's descent isn't just about getting caught, it's about losing himself. The last third of the film, especially the frantic, paranoid day when he's cooking sauce, running coke, and dodging helicopters, that's cinema on cocaine. And it's no accident. The sequence alone deserves its own study. Another iconic moment, the funny house scene. You never know where it's gonna go. The tension is suffocating, and then it snaps. That unpredictability is so true to the lifestyle Scorsese is portraying. Death can come from a joke gone wrong, and by the end, when Henry says, "I'm an average nobody, I get to live the rest of my life like a schnook." It's not a happy ending. It's exile. It's banishment from the very thing that made him feel alive. So how did Goodfellas do? Well, it was nominated for 6 Academy Awards and won one. Pesci's supporting actor win. But more than that, it influenced generations of filmmaking. We wouldn't have The Sopranos, Boogie Nights, or even Breaking Bad without Goodfellas. It refined how you tell crime stories, not from the outside looking in, but from within the chaos. The film is now preserved in the National Film Registry. It's ranked among the greatest movies of all time, and rightly so. It's brutal, it's stylish, it's endlessly quotable, and it's honestly in a way that most gangster films aren't. If you haven't seen Goodfellas in a while, do yourself a favor. Rewatch it. Notice the details, the editing, the music, and the slow unraveling of a man who wanted to be a gangster and paid the price. That's it for this episode of 8-Bit NPCs. If you enjoyed it, leave a review and share it with a movie loving friend, and subscribe for more deep dives like this. Next week, we're going to be covering the first season of The Sopranos, and then after that, The Godfather Part 1. I'm your host, TJ LaFauci, and I'll see you next time.